So someone asked me why machine pin headers aren't good for breadboards. And the answer I gave was they just don't hold very strongly. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. And if you remember, I showed a connector last night where I made a power connector using machine pin headers. And I just want to demonstrate the problem with that. Now, if you have a new breadboard like this, it's not really a problem. It should stay in there pretty strongly. And let's just give it a little try. Yeah. So it stays in there. It's okay, but it's just barely holding on. A little bit of a tap, and it pops right out. You see that? It just doesn't stick in all the way. But it occurred to me that maybe it's because I don't have enough pins holding on for such a short connector. So maybe I'm not correct. Maybe you can use them okay with a breadboard. And there's a quality consideration that I'll get into in a minute. Just to give you an example of that it can work, I've got this set of headers that I cut off last night, eight of them. And for reference, that's a 24 gauge wire that I took out of a Cat 5 cable, an old Cat 5 cable. And I got more of them over here. Just an FYI, if you need to make little jumper wires, old Cat 5 cables serve as a great purpose for making jumper wires. So if I stick this in here, this brand new breadboard, it holds on pretty tight. It's actually it's a really strong connection. You can see it's nice and strong. But there's a difference between this header and that connector over there. And I don't know if the video is going to be good enough to show it, but these, if you can see, these are perfectly straight, right? But if I look at this female header, and this was made from a male header, if I grab this female header here, you can see that the pin has a bit of a buffer zone there. It's not perfectly straight. Now, if I take these two connectors and I compare their length, you can see this female header's pin is just slightly longer, right? Now, if you talk about the length from where that buffer is, they're about the same. But the breadboard actually has enough space. Come on, camera, focus. It has enough space for that top part of that pin. So the female headers hold pretty strong in the breadboard. But the male headers, like I said, these are kind of useless. They don't hold very strong at all. I mean, if I use a lot of them at once, then it holds okay. You know, that's pretty strong. I can lift that up. But if I use only just a few of them, the breadboard's not going to hold on very strong at all. And if I use a really old breadboard like this one, oh, and this is a surprise for later. Stay. This is my blind bag, my special egg. But I'll get into that in a minute. So if I use this really old breadboard, I mean, they don't hold at all. Let me get my smaller ones. Yeah. I made a little 2-pin connector just for testing this. If I stick those in here, this is my oldest breadboard. I've probably stuck things in and out of here 1,000 times. It doesn't hold even regular wires very well. Oh, it's just barely holding on. Just the tiniest little tap, and this thing will go flying right out of there. Oh, it actually already had fallen out. Look at that. So I wanted to do a little bit more investigation to see why it is the male headers are so terrible, are so short. Is it because they're only designed to be soldered into something and then stick to machine pin headers? Or is there something more to it than that? And I think I have the answer. I looked at lots of pictures online of male machine pin headers. And other male machine pin headers don't really have this problem with these super short pins. The black ones that I looked at have nice long pins that are basically, they look like they're even a little bit longer than these female headers. So I'm going to order some. They're only a couple bucks. And give them a try. And I bet they're going to work out great. And if that's the case, I'll actually have a real use for the male machine pin headers. And that will be if I solder some females to, say, an Arduino or any other board, I can then stick it to the male machine pin headers to turn the female headers into male headers and then stick them right into a breadboard. And if I'm correct that the black machine pin headers are actually longer than these white ones, which may not just be the white ones, it may just be the batch that I got that are a little bit shorter than they should be. If those male ones come in and they're actually a lot longer, then that'll solve the breadboard problem entirely. We'll see. Now, for the special surprise, let's see. Well, I'll deal with that later. Let's see what we got. Well, it came with a little LED throwy. Ah, there we go. Let's see what's in our egg. Hey, kids. Look at that! It came with some female headers with a suspicious length. An Arduino Pro Mini! Let's look at that. Some traditional headers. Don't need those, because clearly I'm supposed to use these. So I guess I should solder these in here so we can test out that theory about using the male machine pin headers to turn the females into males. And what we'll have is a board that looks something like this. Which would be interesting because it would be short, and you could put it down nice and flat and not have to worry about it touching anything, making a connection. So let's solder that and see how it goes. I'll be right back. So there we have it. All soldered and put together. What a great project to get in an egg. I wonder if it still fits in the egg. Oh yeah, there you go. So it also came with a project box. So that's what a female machine pin header looks like when it's soldered onto an Arduino Pro Mini. But how good is that? I mean, obviously I can't just stick it in a breadboard here. Let's get rid of these. What am I going to do with this? Obviously it's not going to stick in there. So let's try my little male machine pin header test. Make sure I got the right end. The end with a little bit of conical shape sticking out is the one I want going into the breadboard, because I think it's just a micron longer than the other end. So I'm gonna, it's actually this way. Stick those in there. Oh, well, that's really hard to get in there. I'll just line them up and then use the table. Like that. Alright, let's try that. Wow, that is hard as a rock. Oh, that's not coming out easy. Now the other side. Alright, there we go. So those are in there. Let's see if it fits and stays in the breadboard. Oh yeah, that actually works. So I take it back. With a little bit of creativity, you can fit machine pin headers into the breadboard. Now this is a new breadboard, and they just barely are grabbed, but there's enough of them being grabbed that it actually will hold strong, as you can see. It's probably really good connections. But let's try it with an older breadboard. This is one really old. Let's see if I can take this out without bending the pins. It's a nice Adafruit cobbler, by the way. A nice Raspberry Pi accessory. Let's try it. I've probably stuck stuff in and out of this a million times up top here, so I don't have high hopes. Yeah, that's as far in as it goes, and it's only a good connection on this side. This one's not holding at all. I can feel it. Come on, camera, focus. Oh, there we go. It just barely clicked in. So that actually works. So It's not very strong. Let's try this side. Let's try it right in the middle. Let's try that. Oh, come on. It won't stand. There we go. Yeah, so machine pin header is not the greatest on a breadboard, but it does appear to work. And I'm going to order some slightly higher quality male machine pin headers and see how that goes. I think just from the pictures alone, it should be a little bit of a longer pin, and that's really all that's necessary. It's just just the tiniest amount longer will be enough to stay strongly in a breadboard. So that's it. Oh, now it really won't fit. Oh, there we go. Oh, and that's exactly why machine pin headers kind of suck for breadboards. Let's wait and see how the other pins come out. I'll update a post in a few weeks when they come in.